right.
Woo!
That.
What's up, peeps?
And we are live. Hey, real quick intro. Real quick intro. Hello, everybody. We are the Order of the Dice. We stream every Thursday. We like to start at 8:30 Mountain. Sorry about the late start tonight. But
we did start at 8:30, we just didn't stream.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're coming to us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're here on Twitch, consider hitting that follow button. Maybe throwing us, a Twitch Prime or something like that. That'd be cool. But yeah, tonight is something special. Scott, I mean, you're the one who does the intros, but I don't know. Do you
Yes.
or does Josh want to do the intro here?
I'll leave it up to Josh.
Okay.
So anybody who's been following us for a while is going to get a little bit excited about what we're doing. We've been hinting at a campaign that's coming. Our initial campaign when we first started streaming was Verivar, which is a homebrew campaign that if you haven't had a chance to watch it, go to our YouTube channel. You can watch the entire thing from there. There's a lot of episodes, so we even have something called Lore Master's Nook that you can go and you can watch some summaries of what happened in that campaign that we did a few episodes to catch some people up as we were going. We are going to start a new campaign. Our characters from there ended up becoming gods.
In the same campaign
most
setting.
of them.
New campaign in the same campaign setting.
Perfect. Yep. New campaign, same campaign setting, same characters. Most of them have become gods. And we are currently, because we're doing something that we are not, I'm pretty sure nobody's doing it, or if they are, they're not doing it at the scale we're doing it. We are creating characters that are gods. We are beyond level 20. We are starting at level 22. To do that, the tools that we use, like D&D Beyond, are very limited. They only allow you to go to 20. So we're kind of talking about how we're going to make these changes. And not only make our changes so we're level 20 characters, but we're gods. So we're even boosting them a little bit more. And the idea of this campaign, when we actually launch it, is going to be very exciting. The story's going to be great. But you're going to watch our characters not only go to level 22, but they're going to progress beyond that and become just totally badass. And we are going to fight things that everyone's like, oh man, if you threw that against us, TPK. We're going to do it. Like, we are going to fight the unfightable. Yes. And we'll probably lose some of us along the way. There is not immortality. And so today's session, because we don't have everyone here today, and because we're figuring some of this out, we still wanted to stream, but we wanted to share with you guys what we're doing.
So we
are creating these characters and we're talking about it. Go ahead, Josh.
Behind the scenes, how the sausage gets made. So it's going to be a little rough, uncut, and ugly, but we still.
Yeah. Wow, we're a bunch of knackers making sausage right now. That's what we are.
Yeah.
The other thing you guys need to know is there is some. Not only are we doing D&D Beyond, but we're tying in some things with the Godbound rule set and incorporating it into 5e, since Godbound's based off the 5e as well. So credit to Win for that one, and bringing in words and gifts and things like that. So this is my world. Win's playing in my playground. I hold it very dear to my heart, but he's let me he's let me play somebody I've always wanted to really, really dive into and play. So you guys will catch that as we get on. I'm not even going to divulge it tonight as I'm working. So you guys will see said character as we actually begin the campaign. Don't hesitate to participate tonight. Don't hesitate to, when this goes live on YouTube and you guys listen to this, don't hesitate to comment on YouTube and ask questions that way as well. We want to drive you guys on this one. This one is unique. I don't think Win, we've been playing since what, 7th grade?
Yeah, like 30.
And we've never gone to this level. I think the highest we've gone was between 15 and 20, if I remember correctly. So we've never gone to this level in shit. I turned 50 in 2 weeks. So
you old
let's
man.
talk about that. That's what, 30 we had our 30th high year SKU for another 2 there. So 36 years. In 36 years, I've never played a campaign above level 20 ever. So, and I'm pretty sure most of you out there have never gone to that level. And if you have, I'd love to hear about it. We'd all love to hear about it because we in our minds are pushing the norm. We're beating the hell out of D&D Beyond. We've got to go in and tweak a lot of areas and customize Beyond to handle our ability scores, our damages, our resistances, some of the weapons we're using. This is pushing beyond D&D Beyond to the limits I think it can handle, which is awesome because I'm hitting some walls right now trying to work on my guy. So this is going to be cool, guys. Don't hesitate to hang around and watch us make some sausage tonight, and then next time we play with Win, it's going to be tasting and savoring that sweet, sweet sausage.
Correct.
Dude,
So
I can't believe I said savoring that sweet, sweet sausage.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't.
little
Multiple ways.
I think it just
phrasing.
you said that it just rolled off your tongue, Dan.
everybody knows you did
Always
it.
rolls off the tongue.
Yeah,
Well,
not surprising.
Sausage and Dennis's tongue go together like peanut butter and jelly.
See that? See what I did there? I
did.
Big old softball right for you.
So if I can add just a couple of fast things. So if you go to Drive-Thru RPG,
Yeah.
and if you go look up the Godbound, the free version rules, you can see what we're going to be working with tonight, which are the words and gifts and ways
What's
of
the
describing.
link to that? What is it? Where am I searching? I'm gonna put it in the chat.
If you just went to like Drive-Thru RPG, Godbound free version, let's give a shout out to whoever wrote this thing because, dude, you are a legend. Kevin Crawford, you are a legend. You did a hell of a job, bro. I hope you're still alive and at some Gen Con sometime. We'd love to take you out for a Dr. Pepper or a, what do you guys drink? Diet Mountain Dew, probably.
Yeah.
Magic the darkness.
Water.
There's no such thing.
The darkness dog. This you got a Diet Mountain Dew on me, but
Or bourbon.
or bourbon, whatever. I mean, Dennis can help with that. But so very quickly, we're going to be working through tonight. The characters have already been taken to 22nd level. The way we did that is actually because Scott is brilliant and figured out how to add a feat to where that feat would allow us to manipulate the proficiency of bonus. And in terms of the statistics for the characters, we just let them effectively add stats, right? And we won't be completely done with those tonight. Dennis is maybe a little further ahead in some of his stat adjustments than the rest of the guys. I think Dave Mullins with Theron is a little bit behind, and we'll get Theron caught up. And the game, or the idea tonight, is to kind of roll through these words and these like non-really defined rules and figure out how we can add these to our characters. And then that's the last point I'll make, and then we'll just kind of keep going through the laboratorial process. I wanted, in doing this campaign, just as a shout out to Dennis, they're probably our favorite characters. It probably was the best story that we told. And unfortunately, for all of Dennis's well-laid plans, we fucked that up on a constant, regular basis.
Yes, yes, we did. Yes.
We have a whole story element laid out, and like Kyrus is too stupid to figure it out. And so Kyrus would just like blow past stuff and roll for initiative and go blow something up, and then like we'd move on without even like looking around the area sometimes. So to Dennis's very good credit, he wrote a really nice story and had really moronic players that kind of screwed everything up, and then he was forced at the end. Also, I will give Dennis bullshit though, because he did try to end the campaign on the 69th YouTube episode about a year ago today, and it screwed us. We had to get to 70. And so I said, well, look, if we're not going to end on 69, then we sure as hell can't end on 70. So we're going to keep going. So what I would recommend for you to catch up on the story would be to actually watch the 69th and 70th episodes of the Verivar story. You're going to probably get pretty well acquainted with the characters that are involved. You can get probably really well acquainted with the struggle, and then get caught up with kind of how the story resolved itself. Or the last chapter before the new chapter. And so tonight our goal is just to kind of lay out some ideas. Also, being very upfront, we're trying to figure out how you add legendary actions to characters. How do you turn a normal D&D character that reaches 20th level How do you turn that character into a god? And how do you then let that god express themselves in ways that our hope in this campaign is that it becomes very narrative. And so we'll have a little different set of rules for how we'll do initiatives, to where the lowest initiative will declare their action first. The highest initiative will then have a chance to declare their actions last, and then they will resolve all the actions in order back of initiative. And so you'll see, again, rather than us saying, oh, well, that guy is down, well, I switch my target to this other guy. It should flow a little cleaner, hopefully. And so we're not getting bogged down. Last thing to note on that is all of our dice will be rolled, will be all digital dice. So if you're following along on YouTube or Twitch, you'll be able to see all of our digital dice and see what those come back with. And second reason for that, as we go over some of these powers tonight, is that the characters are getting powers as exciting as Smite, which is 22 die 8 or 10 of a specific type of damage that they can just do every other round because they're gods. And that's kind of how it works. In terms of the longevity of the story, my game plan is to kind of lay it out until either the characters win or perish, conquer or perish. And so in the very end of all these things, we've always had these ideas like, what happens if we fight Tiamat? Well, let's go find out. What happens if we were to fight all the major devils that run the 9 hells? Well, let's go find out. And that's effectively what our story is going to be about.
Yeah.
Hey, so we just finished up. Caleb, one thing that I was going to say on your power.
Well, I didn't give you my last one, by the way. But go ahead with what you're going to say.
Beginning the stream, we were talking about Caleb's shaft power.
Yes. Inexorable shaft.
Inexorable.
Adamantine.
Or inexorable.
Yeah, it is slivered.
Yeah. It is
silvered.
Just so
silvered adamantine shaft.
It's precious, one could say.
Exactly.
The longest of all shafts.
Stiff and
The longest of all shafts. Oh man.
Yeah, this is not a PG stream, by the way. Yeah.
But so with that one though, the crazy thing about it is like with the inexorable shaft is that it's like dealing max damage with everything on that one attack. If I do it right, we're talking about, geez, what is that? 72, 90,
yeah, that kind of damage.
96, 101, plus 50 something.
So on the auto crit from Assassinate, it's like 300 points of damage.
With an auto crit plus that, like, because again it maxes. So if I'm maxing everything, auto critting, like, I mean, what are you gonna do? You know,
You're gonna get hurt.
So this is kind of the discussion, right? The discussion is, I think that sounds rad. Well, and I guess according to Assassinate, you can only do that once in an encounter anyways.
you can only do that. Yeah, you can only do that. So that's the thing. Is like basically, Simbeer is the ultimate dude. He's a quick finisher, and it's just a big old bottle rocket. You know, just a big old bottle rocket.
He's a short, quick finisher.
And then it's just, all right, guys, it's up to you.
Okay.
You know?
What does he have after Inexorable Shaft?
What does he have? What?
What other power does he have after Inexorable Shaft?
Seeking Flight, which is awesome, by the way.
Or bow.
Yeah, that's under bow. So what that one does is, I was talking about this one with Scott. It's crazy. It actually changes my target's AC. It can only be a maximum of 9.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I hit, so basically I hit it on every single roll except a critical fail because my bow has a plus 17. So pretty cool.
You need to tweak that one just a little bit, Caleb.
It's just a never miss. That's all it is. You know?
Well, one thing too, I was just talking to Scott about. So one of Scott's powers is that he becomes like he can't be hit in a round.
Immune.
It
Yeah.
requires his entire action, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is it does require that too. Like I have to declare it because it does require effort, right? So whatever the limits to effort are is the limit of that one.
Agreed. So keep that one in the back of your mind that we may need to either tweak it or we may need to limit it. Like we may need to say, well, 3 times per day, this is like a legendary.
Well, because once again, the thing is that it's like, I mean, it since it requires effort, yeah, it's probably and here's my thoughts on effort, by the way. And I didn't say this when we were off the chat because you guys were all bringing up your ideas, but my thought was, what if we treated effort as like something that we have as like a spell slot, so it's only available after like some type of a rest.
Well, so that's where it'd be better as a legendary action that recharges.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or something that recharges like around 6 it recharges. So I don't have a huge problem with seeking flight at all. I just think that it needs to be limited in some extent. Otherwise, he's just gonna stand a million miles away and rain down death. And
I mean, that's like I said, the ultimate bottle rocket
range. Like he just like aims up into the sky and he's like, hold on.
I mean, to be fair, like based on my other feats, just naturally Spear has much.
I'm cutting out, bro.
You kind of cut out a little bit. Even at plus 17, I'll be honest. At plus 17, several of these monsters you'll only have a 50% chance of hitting.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, but that's where like the AC thing obviously makes a big difference. It's like if I can change their AC, that's the huge advantage. And honestly, I would even be okay with it if you thing where it was like it had to be, I don't know, even like 20. Set their AC to 20. Then it's like,
well, or
lower, but not,
yeah,
not where
like,
it's like
it ignores cover. Like, would it ignore? Because remember, armor class. Like, this is the one thing I think here, chat. I think 3.5 did a far better job of describing armor class.
I agree.
Luck, and you had deflection, and you had armor, and you might have natural armor, and you might have all these kind of interacting things that make cumulative total armor class. And armor class is like a representation of what could be 5 or 6 or 7 things, right? And it 100%. Might be one of the things where it's like, well, their dex doesn't add into this armor class bonus, but like their armor is their armor. Even if the arrow can fly around like Yondu's, wearing magic trick, like they still have their own inherent, right?
Right. And so that was the other thing too with Seeking Flight for me for Symbeer, because with the sharpshooter feat just in and of itself, I already had the ability to kind of ignore types of cover. So to me, it just seemed like an upgrade over that. Now, the idea of it like never missing, probably a little too much, because obviously it's gonna miss sometimes, especially Symbeer.
I'd say I would kind of design, like, what my concern is. You figure out a way to come back to the limitation. The other thing too is that's a visible target, so you have to be able to see them.
Exactly. I can't just go like this and like, oh, it's gonna hit. No, they have to be within my sight range. So if I do not, and I also, the other thing is that the way that I understood it is I have to be aware of their existence. So somebody who's stealthed, I can't just decide to hit them, right?
Yeah. I just think, like, for me, it's probably going to be some either limitation to the AC limitation or some limitation to the number of uses with it, right?
Yeah, well, and I agree. I agree, especially on the limitations.
Yeah. For the most part, the words and gifts, the way we need to work on those is just those become you guys' legendary actions. Right. One of Symbeer's legendary actions is like he can, shoot an arrow, and as long as that target was visible, no cover benefit to them, and he's got some magic advantage or something through there. But the other thing too is that, like, for Scott's on his like immortality on 1 round, that is the only thing Nenny is doing. Like his big metallic wings come up over him, or his hands just go into full defense, and for whatever reason, like he can only be struck on a 20. But he can't not be struck on a 20 and still get all of his attacks and drink 15 potions. And it's like, no, he's total defense for the round.
By the way,
on a critical.
The way I picture that is like a super enhanced, like taking what's the defensive stance that you do? Yeah, like he sits down and with alacrity, he's moving at such pace, he's able to dodge everything, but he's doing it while sweat's coming down his brow because he has to concentrate on that, like not getting hit by anything.
Right.
Meaning, if he would could do that and take all of his attacks, then I would be like, it's too much.
It's too power.
What I would just say is, I think Sequel Flight, where you're going to have 4 attacks per round, something close to that. Might be much if you're right. If there's no defense to them, so just maybe I don't know. You play around.
Well, I mean, currently I only have 2 attacks per round.
Yeah,
and so I mean, I don't.
Round are still 100 points, some points of damage, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can still do crap tons of amount of damage. That's not the point. The point is just that, again, with the bow, since I can only do that massive 12d6 once, right. It does limit my overall effectiveness in that way. And especially on the other hand, that the sneak attack is only, well, I guess that's once per round, provided the conditions are met. But so that's where it's a little bit, there are limits.
I might say it's more of just give him advantage on all of his attacks made in the round.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that works for me.
It's a lesser gift.
That's a good one.
Because advantage works out mathematically to a +3 or +4 to the attack.
Essentially, yeah.
You a 20 or 21 on a base roll.
Yeah.
Before you roll, which on an average is going to give you a 30 to 31 on your roll anyways.
Right.
So you're probably still going to hit almost every monster.
That's a good point. Yeah, let's just do that. I'm cool with that. Gives me 3 times or however many times the effort is per combat or whatever.
Advantage. I don't even mind if we just state you have advantage. Dude, I again, Caleb, I don't even give a shit. If we just said, hey, Symbior with a bow, as long as he can see them, he has advantage, and his bows are imbued to just zip around cover, zip around their shield, stick him up the butt. He
mostly that last thing.
They clear over the horizon, and then comes back and sticks him right up the asshole. I'd be
because I knew where he was. And I figured he had a butthole somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, what from luck?
So hold on, let me give you my last one from Bo. Or I actually might have already given you that. The Bar the Red Descent. I don't know if we read that one. So I like that one too because it's it's just physical attacks, so it's not severely overpowered where it's nothing can ever touch me,
Right.
And then from luck.
No, I'm going to clarify.
What's that?
Red Descent. On 1 point of damage from magical ones.
Mm-hmm.
I probably won't allow that. I'll probably give you some form of resistance against it.
Sure.
If another god or some super
some of their things could probably override it, yeah.
Yeah.
And again it doesn't do anything if missile is gonna hit me no matter what. It's magic stuff is magic stuff, and if they're
actual weapons are affected by this, not spells or magical effects.
Yeah, I think we can go with that. Physical weapons are affected by this, not magical weapons or magical spells.
Yeah.
I think that's and then this is one that I probably need to get super approved from you, because this one, the only luck one that I took was Impossible Victory.
Because it is rad.
It is
sick.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
So, I'll just read this so that people can hear it. So it says exactly once, and this is once ever. It's not once per day. It's once ever. The hero automatically wins a conflict or obtains their end in a situation by blind luck. It may not be a total victory, but it gains the main goal. They then lose the gift. We are refunded its cost and can never purchase it again. And also, no luck miracles can replicate this gift. So you can't cast Wish to get this. You can't cast any type of luck spell to get it. It's a one-time, you get this, and it's gone. So
I talked a little bit about this week ago.
It doesn't necessarily mean, again, like it doesn't even mean like, oh yeah, like if we're Tiamat, if there's no possible or plausible way that we would win, it basically just becomes Tiamat is amused with us or something. And
So yeah, so Scott and I talked about this the last time where we kind of ran through these characters, and I was like, I don't know how it could really work, and I've thought long and hard about it, Caleb, and I'm not going to allow it.
damn it.
So
Oh.
here's what
Pick a new one.
allow. I am going to allow because I think it feels like it's within the realm of what it's intended without it ruining my story. So here's why. Number one, Godbound is traditionally played with a small group of characters, 1 to 2 to 3 people, right? And the idea is that you're able to do this to accomplish a goal. And then, of course, you have to really think through that, like, hey, if this is the character's big goal, you got to be really careful about how many times you're
Exactly. Because, again, it's one time, never again.
Yeah. My theory is, instead, I'm going to let you treat it like Miracle, the actual ninth Miracle spell.
Okay.
Right? And
so, do you want me to just change the name to that then?
So I'm just going to change it. Yeah, and you can read Miracle about what you can work through there. It's literally like you can bring someone back to life with full health. You could heal your entire party. You could teleport. You could cause divine justice and like have everyone take bundle damage. So I'm probably more interested in letting you do more of like
Miracle. I like that.
Miracle is still ridiculous. Like it's still
agreed.
Yeah, pretty freaking awesome. And so it'll have the same limitation, and which means that you don't lose the gift. It'll just have the same limitation as Miracle, meaning you can only use it once every 28 days.
Yeah.
So the character doesn't lose it. He still has it because he's lucky. And his luck is, right, whenever he chooses to use it. So like if you take, for example, like Revival. Revival is like true resurrection. Anybody that died in the last 10 minutes, you restore back to life with full health.
Okay, so basically once every month I can use Miracle.
Yes.
Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm gonna edit that so then it says that instead. Then once per month.
So whether it's that or Wish, Scott.
Yeah.
Or Caleb. Like I think both would kind of work fairly similarly. So Caleb, I'll kind of leave it up to you, like for either of you guys, because you both were thinking about grabbing this. It's like whether it's luck or wish or miracle, something along those lines. I am super open to allowing you guys to work that out.
Okay. I'm gonna put it in right now as once per month the hero can use Miracle at 9th level, and then I'll look at wish and Miracle to see which one, because I need to pick one, right? I can't do like every month I can switch them.
Yeah. So for example, like wish, you can allow up to 20 creatures that you see to regain all hit points, and you end all effects of them described in Greater Restoration. Or you grant 10 creatures that you can see resistance to a damage type you choose.
That could be very useful.
Right? So we're going to allow that, and then it's just going to be one of those things that it's like a recharge, and you can kind of see like with Wish, that it takes like a certain number of days, and there's a percentage chance that if you use it, you can never cast it again, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So let's kind of work out whether it feels more like for Symbiar, it'd feel almost more like, to me, like it would feel more like Wish might work better for him.
Yeah.
But like for Nenny, Miracle might work better for Nenny, if that makes sense.
I agree.
And so this is kind of like, again, when you guys are looking at these encounters and saying, okay, well, Tiamat and friends show up. How are you guys going to survive the deal? Well, one of you, guaranteed, is going to cast Wish during that encounter to get everybody back up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about this on like because of Nick's last big, beatdown, where it's like we're all just basically dead, and you guys are like, "Oh, we're all dead. Campaign's over." Rolando's like, "Don't worry, bro. I got this."
Dude. I was about ready to lose it, man, with because I was like, oh man, it's supposed. Anyway,
that worked out. See, it all works out. All right, wife wants a hug.
Aw. I gotta add.
Gents. There may be a 5th week popping in here.
Oh yeah.
31st.
Yeah, I'm
No, that's
thinking,
Halloween.
Yeah, that's
No, I'm
Halloween.
just saying, like, we've got four different games going.
Yeah.
Humble Bumble just had a run on Vampire the Masquerade.
Well, aren't we going to do Sky Raiders eventually too?
We are. I'm waiting for the books. The physical books have not shipped yet.
Okay, because I was going to say that was one I've been thinking could be that
Yeah.
5th week every once in a while.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
Vampire the
That would be a fun
Masquerade,
one.
I now own all the PDFs for Werewolf, Hunter, and Vampire, plus all the different worlds.
What is it on?
Chicago. Huh?
What is it on?
It's on Humble Bundle Humble Bundle right now.
Humble bundle.
Yep. $18. You can get them all.
Dang, that's cheap.
Oh, yes, it is.
That is cheap.
Going back to a quick thing, Caleb.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of your backstory that you and I need to like flesh out
Yeah.
because it's going to be like hyper relevant.
Okay.
Dude, his backstory's badass, just so you know.
Yes, it is.
Right. So there's a demon or a trickster,
Yep.
Correct.
but we're going to have that trickster not be a demon.
Oh
We're
shit.
gonna have Simbir have a chance to actually go get some vengeance on that
Yeah.
trickster. And it's like somebody that, you know, doesn't keep their word or uses trickery to break a deal. Right.
So if you remember, the way that it was is that I discovered that the elves were intertwined militarily with a Baylor and several other demons, essentially, that
Right.
were through illusion posing as elves to get us in to do a bunch of, you know, pretty evil shit, basically.
Little things. The elves were
yeah.
like Nick's in Dennis's story.
Yeah, exactly. And so the way that it went down is I discovered it and didn't do anything about it.
The elves in Nick's story are total dicks because they just let
Dude,
the same take
What the hell?
and rode away. I literally was like, wait, Nick, they just killed the orc things and then they were like, hey, good luck, fuck you guys, and like peaced out. Yeah, they just left. I was like, come on, Nick. Nick, when you
Dude.
watch this, I want you to know.
The Simbir storyline in the book I wrote, the book I'm writing, is pretty badass.
So that's what I mean. So Dennis, like you, me, and Caleb, let's, you know,
Yeah.
figure that out so we make sure that we kind of do that correctly. But like this is kind of what it is. Like Simbir is going to get his chance, and just even for you guys, like not that I took over the campaign, but like Kyrus totally took over the campaign, and so for those of you on the stream wondering, like, what about Kyrus? Kyrus is not part of our story.
This time.
Mhm.
Well,
He's getting.
he is.
He's getting.
He is, but
Afterlife.
Yeah,
he's not
love
he's not the main part.
Yeah,
From
this
Manila.
is Nenny and Godorak and Simbir and Theron and Xavian and whoever Dennis is bringing to the table. This is
BJR. That's all you need to know. BJR.
EJR. Preach.
Preach.
It's their story, right?
Yep.
And I'm excited. And yeah, at some point, Kairos will make a couple of appearances. But like for the most part, these are the guys that are going to try and figure this thing out. All right, so Caleb, so at some point, I'll email you back. We'll kind of run through
Cool.
the background there so we can make
Yeah,
sure.
I do have some ideas on the vengeance, so let's definitely let's talk about that.
Okay. Jaw.
Yes, sir. Go to rack.
Go to Rex, such a badass. I can't wait for this.
Your Godorix. Here's your Godorix.
Okay. So,
Why do I not have?
what have I not sent you? What have I?
There it is. Godorix Divinity. War. Love
Yes.
it. Vengeance.
Yes.
Justice.
Justice.
Love
Little-
some justice.
A little bit of justice.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you haven't picked any of your
No, because I'm struggling between offense being cool, but Godorak is more of a defensive kind of a. That's how I was playing him. I mean, yeah, he can dish the pain, but it's all about
kind of more of the sentinel, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really
Yes.
more of the full arm master sentinel build.
Yes, you shall not pass. Yes.
Yeah.
What the heck did I do with the book? I had the book open. And
I mean, there's another one too. Is like 9 iron walls from sword. I know that you don't necessarily have sword, but we can adapt it. Right. It's basically really similar to Tenenni's, right? You are an invincible defense against all physical attacks until the start of your next round.
Yes.
As with all instants, this can be used even after an assailant has rolled a successful hit. Pretty wild.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's the same with mine. Is it can be done after they hit or after they attack, I guess.
I remember how we're going to call these actions out. You guys will have contingent actions, and right. I mean, it'll probably resolve itself pretty easily. But I don't know that I'd sweat it too much, Josh. I'd just say, obviously, kind of in the party balance before. Like, I mean, Kyrus was the offense, and you were kind of the defense, right? I don't know that you need to change like a whole ton of that because Caleb now, as long as he doesn't miss, can dish pain on a level that is very Kyrus-esque in throwdown. And Scott, I think by the time he figures out what his total attacks are going to look like, Nenny and Symbir are going to be like monsters. They're, I mean, like Nenny by himself, I think I was like figuring out what Scott could look like for damage. The two of them could dish out like 400 points in a round, no problem.
So what was it, sword? So first of all, how many?
Sword. So let's first just take away that idea. We could call it whatever you want to call it, right? Like if we needed to feel like sword needs to be war because sword's got something that fits better than like what war had, because they don't even have a war.
They don't even have a war. They don't have a war. They don't have a defender. They have endurance or something like that, which was kind
just call sword war, and we can just change the flavor to make it work however you would want to make it work.
Yeah. Where?
Because how it is, a sword kind of feels like what war should have been, anyways.
So like, what is it? Steal without end. All your melee weapon attacks are treated as magic. Yeah. See, that's.
Well, unerring blade is kind of like what Caleb's missile attacks is. Like your current or next melee attack hits on anything but a natural one damage.
Commit effort for the scene. You have an invincible defense against all physical attacks until the start of your next round. This defense does not apply to a violent round. Yeah. See, like 9 iron walls would definitely love to have something like that. And then where was the... No, not passion, not night, not might? No. Falling meteor strike. No. Woo. Come on, got me.
And another thing, too, very quickly, Josh, is like, for all of you guys, if there's a cool feat like improved cleave back in the day in 3.5, if you wanted to turn and create a gift that we call improved cleave, and Godorak, as long as he kills it, just moves on to the next creature within reach and makes his attack and kills that. Josh, I don't care if in a round, Godorak goes through literally a horde of demons and kills 400 of them.
Yeah.
That sounds fucking awesome. Like, that just sounds awesome, right? Like, I mean, he's a god, dude. Like, this is like the Immortals, right?
Yeah, so and then there's the health stuff. Like, where is it? Cure all diseases and poisonings within sight. So, Ender of Plagues. Flesh made true. No, that's healing other people.
Like might be kind of cool. There's one where you can effectively jump like stupid distances.
There's one like intrinsic health. Your maximum hit point increased by 2 points per level, including levels gained before you took the gift. So that's like an extra 44 hit points. That'd be nice, Where is it? Oh, Vital Furnace. Commit effort for the day. Instantly heal any hit points lost since the end of your last turn, provided the harm didn't kill you.
See, and to me, that would feel like a very natural extension of like second wind.
Yep. Yep.
End around, right, once per day.
Mm-hmm.
Instantly heal all hit points lost since the end of your last term.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like second wind on crack. Why not?
And endurance. So there's a bunch of stuff under endurance that I was like, ooh, this looks good. So there's Amaranth Vitality. Every 15 minutes you heal 1 lost hit point per 3 character levels rounded up, so long as you are still alive. Comboed with Body of Iron Will. No, not that one. Where is it? Well, there's Defy the Iron, which is negate 1 physical attack or instance of bodily injury. Can't ward off mere mental or spiritual or magical. But it's basically I negate 1 attack. There is harder than this. Yeah, here we go. Harder than this. Commit effort. Become immune to 1 physical peril or special attack as long as the effort remains committed. You can't
adjust to become immune to a dragon's breath weapon.
Right.
Basilisk gaze or beast poison or even a volcano's caldera.
Yeah. You can't. Yeah.
No.
But you can. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can't adapt to weapons, gifts, or spells, but like Dragon's Breath, Basilisk Gaze, Beast Poison, or Volcano's Caldera, I can withstand one of those.
Right. Or like dying, you can't die. Like they have to use a miracle or a wish to kill you.
Fear no steel. You take 1 fewer hit point of damage from all incoming sources of damage, whether physical or magical, which is kind of lame.
I think it's kind of lame for it, but
unbreakable. Until the start of your next turn, you have an invincible defense against physical, tangible attack or spell effect. Mental and spiritual harms or damage are not deflected. Oh, here's the one. Undying. Yeah. While you can be brought to 0 hit points, mutilated or burnt, you cannot actually be killed except by the effect or aid of a word-powered gift, divine miracle, or gift-enhanced attack. If not slain, you regenerate back to 1 hit point in an hour from your largest remaining piece.
Like, you're literally Deadpool.
So basically, well, unless you get hit by a word-powered gift.
Something magical.
Like, unless you... No, not even magical. You have to get smitten by another god.
Yeah.
Smote.
Or like a legendary action.
Kind of, because also, let me give you guys the quick heads up. Mm-hmm. Because you guys get words and gifts.
So do they.
Yeah. Of course.
So do they.
Of course.
So, how many greater and how many lesser gifts are you giving us again?
So you get 6 points to spend.
Wait, what?
6 points.
Okay. How much does a lesser, how much does a greater cost?
Lesser 1, greater 2.
Oh. Well, shiz. All right.
You start with 1 word, and if you add a word, it costs 3.
Okay.
So
I'm thinking endurance.
Good.
In your initial email, you said we start with 2 words with 6 points.
Oh, that's correct. It's 2 words and 6 points. If you were to add the 3rd word, so
exactly.
It's like,
additional 3. Okay.
You don't want vengeance.
What?
You wouldn't want vengeance.
Well,
you don't want to take that portfolio.
Well, I would want vengeance. But there is no. So what would that look? What would that look like? How would we do that?
Godorak is built upon vengeance.
Yeah,
he thrives upon it.
It's basically like I almost see it as if I take damage, the attacker gets some sort of penalty. Either that damage gets reflected back to them, or they're going to, hamper themselves, or I'm going to force everybody to attack me, or...
Well, just real quick. So let me try and...
Actually, I know that would be... Yeah.
The word. Mm-hmm. The word is what a god has for their domain. So, for example, Caleb's domain is probably going to be more of like vengeance and trickery.
Okay.
Caleb is expressing vengeance and trickery under luck and bow. Make sense? Nenny is not necessarily becoming the god of alacrity.
Mm.
Nenny is going to be expressing what, like in his case, say light, right? That it's like that's going to be like a speed, and alacrity is like a representation of his domain.
So I'm gonna be like vengeance, but my vengeance will manifest itself through the word endurance and being able
Or
to
sword, or yeah.
Okay.
Like it's more like, think about this: like, is Ghost Rider the strongest of all of the Marvel characters? No, but he never stops, right? Like he's unkillable. Or like Deadpool. Deadpool can't fly. He has no magical eye beams. He still shoots 9mm MP5s, right? Like, but he can't stop. So it's a way of you expressing vengeance. Does that make sense? Not like he's necessarily driven by vengeance. He might be driven by vengeance, but he hasn't necessarily become the god of vengeance. Does that make sense? Like, maybe Caleb is more of the god of trickery, and you're more still of the god of war. And it's still, his motivation might be entirely around.
Okay.
Here's the one thing I kind of bring up, though, that I disagree only a little bit for Godorak. I actually think Godorak's vengeance has been sated. He killed the people who caused him harm. He was reunited with his wife and child. Like,
but he's not dead yet. That's his final. That's his final victory, is when he finally fulfills his
I'll go with
purpose.
I'll go with win on this, right? Like, if you think of Gladiator, right? He is full of vengeance.
Yeah.
Until he kills the last guy, and then he lets himself die.
Right.
And I think that's what Win's saying, is you're now a god. Death is still coming, and you know that's coming eventually, and that's going to be your release when you get to be with them.
Right.
But you may not be full of vengeance, because who's that at right now?
Let me clarify, because this comes directly from the DM himself.
Yes.
Dennis said in the episode, when I watched it now twice, that Godorak is reunited with his wife and child. He is reunited with them. Why? Because they are followers that he has a vested divine interest in. So no, Godorak is still not necessarily seeking vengeance. He is reunited with his wife and with his child. And now, Josh, here's why this is way better. Because I'm going to threaten the shit out of them in the first 3 minutes of us playing.
Wait, say it again.
I'm going to threaten the shit out of them in the first 3 minutes of playing.
Yeah.
Because now, in a sense, when your dead wife and dead son are no longer on the table, it's like, what are you going to do to Godorak?
Right.
I mean, dude, what, kill him and let him go be with his wife and child? Like,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, but contraire, what happens now if it turns out that when Verivar dies, if your sphere dies, so does your wife and child?
That's not good.
And now what kind of god is Godorak? He's now the god of war, or is he the god of, like, is he a defender god? Is he going to defend this world? Would he be the guy that would stand in front of the onrushing hordes to defend his world? Yes. He's right. So that's where Scott and I are both kind of saying, like, even to Simbir's point, it could be that Simbir maybe feels satiated. Like, he feels like, dude, I've now overcome, right? But in Simbir's case, he has not overcome, because that demon still fucked him, and he still wants revenge. And that actually is what drives him still as a god. Is then he also is willing to patron for other people who are also looking for that similar, or are willing to trick others, or are willing to, right? So what you're really looking at is, like, how does Godorak evolve? And the one thing I'd even challenge Caleb on a little bit with Simbir is, how is Simbir going to evolve? Because Dennis has got a character that definitely has evolved, right? Scott's Nenny has definitely evolved. In fact, now he has Rosa. He has he's been able to make peace with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
He knows his dad is suffering justice where his dad is at.
Well, in question, can we freely travel the planes?
You can. And so, Scott, I see you shaking your head a little bit. Scott, are you saying that there's still maybe a little unresolved tension there? That maybe since your dad's in hell, maybe Nenny is gonna. I don't know. I feel like that could be a story thread that we're going to be weaving into this this adventure.
I have a feeling there's going to be threads for Nenny that are coming because I don't feel that Nenny got his resolution where some may have, and so it's going to happen. But yeah,
hence, neither did Kyrus, neither did Simbeer, neither did Nenny. Like there's these cool threads, and it's not Dennis's fault. If Dennis would have been resolving our threads, he'd have woven a 45-year-old quilt that would have taken a.
Well, not because of him, because we're
dipshit.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have some cool moments where like these unresolved things, like for Kyrus, for me at the end of the adventure, right? I looked at it and thought, look, I could, wrap this thing up and just become Kirsten, replacement. And I was like, no. Kyrus is like, F this. This isn't resolved. In fact, and you'll find out quickly, like he realizes that you're being lied to and you're being deceived. And he says no because he realizes what will happen if he says yes. However, he loves Godorak and loves Nenny and loves Simbeer and Theron and Xavier and is willing to then try to take on the burden of fixing what he sees is the issue all on his own. Right? And that, for me, felt like that aligned with Kyrus. Like, I felt like if the story needed to continue on and Kyrus was the only active adventurer, for Kyrus, he'd keep going. He'd keep fighting. He'd keep fuck youing until he was out of fuck yous. Right? He's the immortal fuck you. Even like, I went back and I rewatched when we restarted, right? And how like surly Kyrus was. He's like, nope, fuck this. I'm not doing this. Tell these assholes, tell the Novrine and the Navrine, I'm not playing your game. Tell the gnomes they can kiss my ass. I'm not going to watch Thorgrim die again. I'm not going to go fight a bunch of wargs. I'm not doing this bullshit. I say, fuck your game. I'm going to sit here and eat my breakfast, right? He got it. And the other cool thing is that Dennis introduced something really fun with that last monster, and that if you remember, that monster's attack was not, its most powerful attack was not some breath weapon. Its most powerful attack was purely psychic, right? And no one had really anything to fight against that. All the resistances. I mean, finally we just had to like run away. If you watch how that battle resolves, we basically just run away until Braun banishes it.
Yep.
That's the game.
Sheer damn luck of a horrible fucking roll.
Bad roll. But it was cool, right? It kind of wrapped things up. And also, if you guys don't know what happens when something gets banished, you should read that spell and you'll have an idea of where we're headed for that first adventure. Theoretically saying.
Theoretically.
A little bit with how time differs between spheres and time differs between outer planes and primaterial plane planets, right? It'll be fun. It'll be a good time. All right, so Josh, what I would just say is for Godorak, I think you want to figure out a way to look at Godorak as the evolved Godorak. Okay. Evolved Nenny. And even Caleb, I want to give you a bit of a challenge. I want you to figure out how Simbeer evolves. His consciousness opens. He sees these threads of people all over the world and how like those people are interacting with each other. Does that change his motivation? Does it make him more heroic? Does it make him more aware? Does it make him more conscientious about, right, that he's not selfish, that he understands that like, no, he would die for Nenny. He would die for Godorak. Like he would make, right, kind of like Chris Pratt's character in Magnificent Seven, right? Where he's like the gambler and, just kind of the show. And at the end, though, he's the guy who goes and lays his shit down on the line.
Right.
Right? Like, what's the evolved Simbeer? because he can't just be this like mortal, unevolved guy. Like, what's his evolution, right? What's the evolution of Symbiar? And why does Symbiar become someone that other people look up to as a hero and are willing to even go a step further and pledge lives or funds or devotion to Symbiar? Because he has to represent something more than just some elf with a bow, right? Like, he's got to be something bigger than who he's been. So, Josh, what you're really trying to figure out with Godrak is how does that express
In
for
your
Godrak?
powers?
In your powers. In Caleb's case, it's very easy. He goes from this guy who used to miss all of the important shots,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's a god, and he realizes that those important shots might be the difference between saving the world or watching it crumble.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is perception, right? That he wants to no longer miss. That's why one of his powers that he becomes or manifests as a god is this unerring shot.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I like this idea of like you guys figuring out like how do the characters evolve. For Dennis is already in a good position where his character already kind of knows a bit of the motivation, right? Or he has evolved, or he has some of this, evolutionary moment. He just needs to figure out how he's going to express that now,
Mm-hmm.
right? In what powers and what abilities. Same with Nick, right? Nick is no longer just any wizard. Nick is the wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Nick's the wizard of wizards, right? He is the Elementor of his world. He is the Mistra, the Azuth of his world. How does that express itself out? So I just say for Godrak, whatever powers you want to work on, Josh.
Okay.
And then that's kind of the last pitch is, if there's a feat or if there's a spell that better mirrors what you're really looking to do, right? I mean, if it's like jump, cast at 9th level, then dude, like take jump, cast at 9th level, right? Those gifts are designed to imitate those 7th through 9th level spells. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
I mean, if you kind of what they're really to do, like a globe of invulnerability protects you from what? Spells that are 5th level. Well, one of the gifts that we're looking at, the gift that Dennis took, Greater Pavis, like ignores all 3rd level spells. The difference is Dennis doesn't have to cast anything. He just has Greater Pavis, and so any incoming 3rd level spell doesn't do anything to him at all. And as he uses that ability more, I will then naturally just be progressing those gifts to do more as Dennis uses that gift more often or as it becomes more powerful. So if you found something that you're like, hey, this would be really, really cool if for example, one of Godrak's gifts is like, he just has a permanent effect of haste. Okay, great. Like that's his gift. But we don't have to call it haste. You can call it something cool like, swordsman or I don't know. We can come up with anything you want to come up with. But the whole idea is for you to come up with something cool that is the evolution of Godrak, because your child and your wife now in the first adventure will be 100% at and in peril.
Mm-hmm.
Instantaneous peril. Like, and not just instantaneous peril, because if your spear dies, all of the souls associated to it. So you're not just fighting for the world, you're fighting for your world plus all the souls tied to Verivar.
Got it.
Which is Scott's sister or Nenny's sister, right?
My
all
family.
The souls are all tied to Verivar that have gone to upper planes or are tied to upper planes. Now, all the souls that are tied to lower planes, those souls are no longer on Verivar. And they aren't tied into their gods. Those souls, because those souls were bartered, much like Caleb's demon, right, treatise, or Yanila's in Treaties of Demons, or Kyrus's dad, etc., who made deals with demons or devils, their souls are in either the hells or in the abyss. Right? And we'll talk a little bit of why that is, and then you guys will kind of figure out a little bit into it, where it's like, Dennis designed a bunch of very, very benevolent gods, but about half of Dennis's pantheon are total bastards.
Yeah.
Story.
Well, I think all of Dennis's pantheon had a both good and a dark, like a light and a dark side, if you will.
Correct.
We do, but that's where y'all are different, because y'all don't.
That's the plan, is that we won't.
You don't. So how does that change the balance? And do you think that, I'm just thinking out loud here a little bit, do you think all of the gods are on board with Novarin and Navrin's plan?
No.
Some may not. And like, what would they do? I don't know. They might do something.
Oppose us.
They might oppose.
Join us.
And is it super interesting here that we've got some rules laid out for how gods would fight each other? I don't know. We'll figure it all out.
Yeah. Should be interesting.
So, I just say, like, if you found something in a spell, something in a special ability, something you felt was just a good mimicry, like, I mean, and I'll be up front. I won't ruin too much of Dennis's. Dennis has a racial template, and that racial template has some powers that were associated with the racial template. If you saw something you just thought, hey, that really works for Godrak, I'd be like, okay, cool. Right? If it's like, if you said he's resistant to all non-magical attacks, from a weapon, I'd be like, yeah, okay, sounds dope. That makes sense. I mean, like, why? Because he has this legendary Hyperion's armor that now has become exalted, right? You no longer have Hyperion's armor in the physical sense of what was left back on Verivar. But that doesn't mean that Godrak didn't ascend with some now magical version of Hyperion's armor. Does that make sense?
So something like invulnerability, 9th level spell, you're immune to all damage until the spell ends for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that probably might be a bit much.
It's only a 9th level spell. It's not even divine. No, I'm kidding.
Well, most of the gifts, the lesser gifts, imitate between 5th to 7th level spells, and the greater gifts imitate 7th to 9th level spells. Yeah. Which, like Scott's one power, where he can spend the whole round, and he's kind of immune to anything except for a natural 20, right, or a natural critical. To me, if you had something that was similar to that, I would just say Godrak can have like a same version of that. You just change the way it flavors. In Scott's case, it's that attacks all slow down. He sees all of them, and it's kind of like Quicksilver in the X-Men, where he's just like laughing, pointing guns at each other and like dancing around, dodging their effects. Versus Godrak's might be that he just is, impervious. Like he just stands there and flexes his muscles and channels all this inner might. And he just can't, the effect is the same, but the way you would show the effect would be what makes it different for Godrak, right? Even like for Dennis and for Nick, in terms of, what is this one, Dennis, that we're talking about? Best course. Best course, they really both could have best course. It would just be that what Dennis's version of best course maybe visited or shown differently than like Nick's version of best course, right? So it's not that they both don't need to have it. It's more like I'm just telling Dennis and Nick, you probably don't want best course, right? Because one of you could just do best course, and that's going to give you effectively what you need to know anyways, right? So just one of them doesn't need to waste a point on it or waste a gift on it. Okay, so kind of run through everyone's gifts a little bit. The last thing for me, go ahead, Scott.
So I think I've created most of mine. I don't know if we talked about mine because I just said, hey, I'm working on it. I know you and I have talked about it.
Yeah, what do you got?
Okay, so just so everyone knows,
totally clear, because I seriously felt like such a scene hog with Kairos. Bruh, I am super, super, super stoked to see like the 3 or 4 other guys that are going to be doing most of the combat just whooping ass on a level. So I'm stoked to see what you've come up with, Scott.
Okay, so I've got most of my feats created. They're not perfect in D&D Beyond, and it is what it is. So the god I'm doing is Justice. A lot of Nenny's motivation, and I talked to Caleb about this earlier, is he's seen bullies and he hates bullies and he wants to protect those that are close to him. So the way he deems out justice is through getting there and stopping things before they happen, shedding light where darkness is in the world. So his 2 words that he's chosen are alacrity and sun.
Love it.
The storm breaks is what he's got in alacrity.
It's so fast, dude.
this is cool. So essentially, the way that this is written is before the first round of every combat or any time-sensitive circumstance, I can take an action for one free bonus round before anyone else acts. Now, if there's somebody else who has this, we roll dexterity against each other, and the whoever wins the dexterity goes, right?
I give you a quick thematic moment for this. Is in Justice League, right, where the Flash starts like whipping around Superman, and all of a sudden, like he sees Superman's eyes catch up to him, and Superman fucks him up. Yes. Breaks is like, you're the Flash, and you're super fast, like going around, and all of a sudden, like what happens when someone else has that hyper superhuman speed? All of a sudden, you be, oh shit, there's two of us.
100%.
Yeah,
that'll be cool. So that's this Storm Breaks. The other one is Untouchable, which we did talk about a little bit here. Is as an action, you become impossible to hit until the start of your next turn. Attacks hit only on a natural 20, even those attacks from foes that would normally hit automatically. And I can use this after an attack roll is rolled, but it takes my action until my for that round. So I become untouchable. And the way that Nenny does this, because it's Alacrity, is he just... And I love that you called out Quicksilver, because that's exactly the way I pictured this, is Nenny is running around the room. And if there's any chance, and we can talk a little bit more about this, like that he can just touch the arm of somebody who's about to hit his compatriot as he's running around. Like, he would try and do that, but he's also got to focus on not getting hit himself. So if he's got all the attention on him... Anyway, we can talk more about that as we go.
That is super cool.
Yeah. So the other words that he took were Words of the Sun. And the exciting one that I've already created, the one I haven't created yet, I still have to do in D&D Beyond. But the one that's damage dealing is Sunstrike. So if the sun is in the sky is how this starts off. Its radiance strikes a creature within range for 1d10 radiant damage per character level. Now remember, we are level 22, so that is 22 d10 radiant damage dealt.
It's an average of 110?
Yeah. So this blaze will penetrate... So this is what I wanted to talk to you about, Win. It says, this blaze will penetrate any roof or ceiling not proofed against divine gifts. I'm thinking like any cover, or maybe 3/4 cover is the way that we write that in D&D speak, but we can sort through that. If the sun is not in the sky, the bolt does 1d6 damage per level, but it also says creatures not of this world, such as summoned entities, angels, or it said uncreated. I just changed that to undead. Always take 1d10 damage per level. And the damage is rolled twice, and whichever is the greater damage is what is done.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be problematic at all.
So the thing that I want to figure out on this is this a once per day use? Is this a once, because we were talking about legendary actions, is it like, hey, he can do this 3 times? Action. It is a smite action. So but that's
it's commit effort for the scene. So the way effort works in the Godbound, it looks like you have an effort pool, but if it says commit effort for the scene, then you can't use any more effort that scene. So that combat,
so that is your action.
Not round, combat, like until you roll initiative again.
So that's right. Back though, Scott, what I think it works best as is there are several of these that I think work best as like legendary actions.
And this is what I was thinking.
Recharge, right? That on like you have just in your round, for example, let's say you do it, okay? And we say, all right, it goes off, and then he calls down a bowl of heavenly, celestial radiance and smashes Tiamat. Well, the next round he tries to channel regaining that power. You roll, if you get your 5 or 6, he does. Channels and gets it back. And then he's able to try and like use it again. So I think but most of these, even like for Caleb, that's where I'm coming back to the one where like he shoots and he never misses. Something along those lines. It's more like try to treat these gifts like they're legendary actions, because I think that tends to kind of work well within D&D. And here's the other reason why I think it would be rad. Because if we did Sunstrike as a legendary action that recharged, maybe he can Sunstrike on someone else's turn. So he takes his normal attacks, smashes someone, and then meanwhile, dipshits Tiamat's run around trying to, fly and breath weapon the crap out of the whole party, and he just waits, channels that, and on her turn, he calls down that bolt, smashes her for the 22 die 10, right? And then waits and tries to have to rechannel that, recovering that effort, right? Kind of like Josh was saying. So I want you guys to kind of think about these powers, and it's like, I mean, there's obviously like a temptation to make them super broken and dumb. It was like Caleb's bow. Caleb's bow is super broken and dumb. But as long as you guys figure out ways to kind of like restrict it and put it within the story where it's not just so stupidly overpowering, because anything you can do, I can do.
Yes.
Meaning limitations you give yourselves to the characters are limitations I'm going to give to your adversaries. Advantages you give to yourselves are advantages I'm also going to allow be available to some of your enemies, right? And
well,
so,
that's why I wanted to talk about the mechanic. Is I'm more of I like the idea of there's some limitation, and legendary actions is one of those where it's like, hey, you're a god, you're dealing insane amounts of damage, but even a god has its limits, right? Like, correct. So if there's some limit there, and we can work that out in a bit, but
so that's what I mean. Is I think that sounds awesome, Scott. And here's the other thing is that in my mind, I can't think of anything cooler than Nenny actually like pulling down the sun out of the outer planes across the universe into the first layer of hell and channeling that radiance to smash into Tiamat's temple and then into Tiamat.
Yeah.
That's a cool, like, it's rule of cool, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just cool as hell. Like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. You guys have played Well of Dragons, and in that you guys fought, like, the Tiamat avatar, and you killed her. Wow, nifty effing for you. Have you ever pulled down literally celestial radiance out of the universe through the first layer of hell and smashed Tiamat through a temple?
I mean,
yeah.
That'd be dope.
No. Right? So rule of cool, I'd say that sounds dope, dude.
Yeah. Okay. So the one that I haven't written up yet is Body of Burning Light. And basically, by having sun as one of my words, I have sunlight that goes out from me for 200 feet or 200 yards or whatever it says. Let me double check it. 200 feet. And so my brilliance makes it impossible for targets and creatures that operate by means of vision to. It makes it harder to hit me. It says, while it shines, my natural AC is 3 higher against people with sight, and my weapon attacks, unarmed attacks, count as magical weapons, as well as they have a range of 200 feet. So that would allow me all of my up close fighting. I could then do at 200 foot range.
Right.
So, anyways, for me, I was like, AC increased by 3 and being the range on that are the things that I'm excited about, because now you have this monk that can, move it super fast, but he also can hit you from super far away. He takes punches, and the way I see this happening is he just has that light, and maybe as he's throwing his punches, the light leaves him for that 200 feet, and it goes from a focus on him to the focus on somebody else, and actually deals the physical damage before it settles back around him. But anyway,
I don't care if it's like you're Chun-Li, and as you kick, like you create some, tangible sunlit foot that travels in and just whoops their ass from 200 feet away. Like, I think it sounds dope.
Yeah, like something in the one.
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, that's those are the ones that I have on there. I've almost got them created, but they're like, creating feats sucks. So they'll at least be on my character sheet, but it'll just be stuff that I have to track and remember so far.
Yeah, and so that's what I'd say is, as we create the feats, and you guys create the narration, you guys create how they're going to work. Like, again, that was the whole purpose of tonight, is like, hey, let's just sit down and kind of help you guys get a real good idea of the framework, right? Of like, too much bullshit, not enough bullshit, and what you're really trying to kind of create within the gifts. And then last point I kind of want to make, we can kind of wrap up for the night, is I want you guys to really not necessarily look at the mechanics of what you're doing. In fact, I almost want you to get away from the mechanics. I want you to get to the narration. So it's no longer I try to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
Attack them with what? Right? I swing my halberd.
Mm-hmm.
No. We don't swing halberds anymore. Right? Now we channel divine powers, and Josh narrates what Godorak does when he swings his halberd. Right? Nenny narrates. Scott, you're going to narrate what Nenny does. when he makes this attack, right? So, and the idea being that it becomes more of collaborative storytelling rather than just like dice rolls back and forth of like you hit, you miss, you do X amount of damage. Like we can kind of do that and that's fine. But the reality of it is that narration kind of tends to also then bring out motive or it kind of, right? I mean, it tells the story. And sometimes I feel like our dice don't tell the story. Like we've had these cool moments where it's like, we had a crit on like Kyrus's dad, right? When I had that called 20, right? And then I rolled a 20. It was freaking awesome. That's cool, but there has to be these moments where I almost want those to be so consequential, right? Such a big deal that it's just like, no, the scene's over. Like, that's it, dude. He's dead. Dead as shit. I don't care, right? I mean, like, it's more rule of cool. And by rule of cool, also, it's a little bit of the horror movie, right? When you think Jason's dead because, you know, Kimmy stabbed him in the heart and he fell down, there's blood, and Billy showed up, and Kimmy and Billy were like, it's over, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, it's all over. And then, of course, you know, Jason just stands up and impales both of them. Bad guys also kind of get some rule of cool. And so that way you guys kind of have these super consequential fights that have got this really significant narrative and have got this really significant weight. And so hopefully when we're all said and done, we can kind of give Dennis's story both the flourish and the gravitas and the flavor, right, that we kind of sprinted to the end of, right, without really trying to stop and smell the roses and taste all the food along the way, right? So this is your food along the way. This is how we're going to tell this really cool story. Let this thing kind of wrap up how, you know, I think it could have wrapped up, and let you guys then figure out how to make these characters just cool as shit. So last thing, Dennis, as you're kind of designing things, we did have a rule that at 20th level that these characters will be able to concentrate on 2 spells. So just for the stream, if you're kind of wrapping up
at a time,
level that we've allowed is that 20th level casters will be able to concentrate on 2 spells at a time. Nick has one of his powers that he can cast 2 spells per round. Wild. And the reason for that is because if we have a character who is a 17th level cleric, I think it is dumb as and dear D&D developers, you're a bunch of dipshits for only allowing 1 concentration spell per character, because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. You're telling me that a cleric couldn't have like some sport of spiritual wards or, right? I mean, I don't know. The whole thing just sounds dumb because half the cleric spells are concentration, and just the idea they can only have, like, they can't have protection versus evil and spirit guardians
at the same time.
I just, like, dear D&D developers, I want you to step back and understand how insanely stupid that sounds. A cleric can't have protection versus evil, level 1, and spirit guardians, level 3, active at the same time if he is a 20th level high priest of his god, capable of casting miracle. Oh, but he can't have protection versus evil and spirit guardians. I mean, that would be game breaking. That's not game breaking. It's cool as shit. So these 20th level characters will be able to have 2 spells. What else did we add? Proficiency goes to +7.
Yeah.
Their feats now, they gain 3 from ability score increase.
We got additional ability score points as well, and ability score is now capped at 30 instead of 20.
20.
We have 6 slots to for
item attunements.
Attunement, yeah. I don't know if you already said that one.
Which also, again, dear D&D developers, your item attunement thing is stupid as shit. Dumbest thing ever. Oh, you have 3 magic items and you're a god? Well, sorry, Bubby. You can only be attuned to 3 of them at the same time. Even at like 10th level, these characters are like badass heroes. 11th level, there should be like, according to D&D, right? Like at 13th, 14th level, you get Wish. So the game breaks, according to most of the developers. Oh, the whole game breaks once you get Wish. Well, then figure out how to do your shit better, bro. Hence, 6 item attunement slots, and all of our characters have got buttloads of magic items. So, Dan, we haven't done your magic items. I think, Scott, I know Caleb's are done. Caleb took the most broken weapon in the game. Josh, I think yours are mostly done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know Dave needs to do his. I know Nick and I have talked to you about his, and Dennis, you and I obviously still need to do yours. Dennis, you will probably have the least amount of everybody in that category because you have racial template goodness that I think should help. I think you should be okay.
I'm completely fine with that. I now have the robes I wanted. Maybe a great sword, then I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can toss in a Holy Avenger or something dope. I don't think we're going to split that. Anyway.
Like that.
Okay, cool. Well, with that, I hope everybody at least kind of got a peer into our broken brains. Next time we play, I will have gotten with Nick and Dave, and we will have Theron and Xavier totally ready to go. And then the very next time that we play, we'll be ready to party, and it will be a party.
Party.
It will definitely be a party.
Alrighty, everybody. Thank you for watching. Oh, go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
Before we go, so those who are watching, whether currently on the stream, shout out to Grognardian, or if you're going to watch us on YouTube. So the way that we do this normally Thursdays is when we stream. We have 4 different campaigns going. So the first week is 1, second, third, fourth, all separate things. Next week, there is a 5th Thursday this month, but it happens to be Halloween. So we will not be streaming.
A lot of us have kids,
correct?
So
yeah. I will be
I'm
out.
scaring the shit out of kids is what I'm
nice.
A lot of kids.
Yes. So we won't be here next week, but the following week we will be back. For those who have been following, we will be doing Caleb's. So we'll be doing Fallout. So that will be the next stream.
I forgot to say this. I am out on the 7th.
Of course you are.
I think we can make that work.
We'll talk after. We'll talk after.
We'll
talk about it after.
I turned 50 on the 6th.
I think Dennis has got. Yeah, he's old. He's got.
I'm old. Yeah. I'm celebrating that midlife crisis. I'm gonna be gone.
Yeah. Dennis, are you finally going down to Prem, Nevada to go find some of these houses of ill repute on your 50th birthday?
No. We may go golfing in Mesquite. I haven't decided if we're going to Mesquite or Wendover.
Dude, go to Mesquite and go eat at Catherine's.
Cool. Anywho,
there's some discussion.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you guys next time. If you're on that YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. If you're in Twitch chat, definitely follow if you haven't, and consider throwing us a Twitch Prime sub if you feel like it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Awesome. Thanks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.